last named speech, I'm going down the flow and responding to some of the 1AR's responses, as well as bringing up some voting issues on why a negative ballot is warranted. I will show you that the disadvantages outweigh the advantages, and they're truly not solving the problem. I'm going to make a few quick responses, and then a lot of the responses will be in my voting issues. My first point, in response to my solvency 3 and 4, she said, no, I didn't have an example. Well, I was actually looking at her piece of evidence, so my response is harm 1, no link. Harm 1, no link. And my partner actually talked about this in her speech. The overgrazing number did not specifically talk about federal grazing, so we can see just from that number that we don't know how much of that is from federal land. So therefore, we can see that there are other causes and other things that are causing this number, and we can't say that that's from federal land. We don't know. The overgrazing number was just a general number. Moving on to significance 1, my response is 0.41%. 0.41%. And this was a piece of evidence that I read in my speech saying that the majority of the federal land livestock was 0.41%. And they basically never responded to the actual percentages and basically said that it was a significant harm. But the thing is that 0.41%, a very small number, and so the federal the grazing is not actually coming from these federal lands, as we can see that there are other causes, and overgrazing comes from other things. Moving on to my DA, she basically said I didn't have any evidence to back it up. My response is logic. The piece of evidence, my DA was logic that if the auctions happen, it's logic to think that the small companies aren't going to have enough money and are going to be outbid by the big companies. That's how an auction normally works, is whoever makes the highest bid wins whatever they're trying to get. And therefore we can see that the big companies and farmers are the ones going to getting this land. So the impact still stands of small farmers hurt. The small farmers are going to be hurt by this because we're seeing that this disadvantage will come around. Moving on to my topicality point, you can tag this as extra topical. And we talked about this in my partner speech, and they basically haven't truly responded to this in their 1AR, but the thing is, their plan is talking about federal land. We're not talking about we're talking about overgrazing within it, but their plan is to privatize federal land. That is not topical. That is talking about something else and is talking outside of the reaches of the resolution. We're not talking about agriculture anymore, but of changing federal land to who owns it. That is not topical. Moving on to solvency, and I was talking about the advocates. My response is not specialized. These people, one person was part of a think tank we don't know what think tank, but some kind of think tank, and the other was something in economics. But still, none of them are specialized to deal with federal funding, agriculture, or any of those things that truly address the problem. So we can see that we truly don't have an advocate. Now, moving on to my voting issues. My first voting issue is no benefits with AF. No benefits with AF. As you can see, there's no benefits coming around. My subpoint of this is no advantages. No advantages. In the AF team's plan, we have not shown any advantages that will come around with this plan. Basically, by changing and privatizing this land, we're seeing no benefits coming from the plan. We're only seeing this overgrazing number, which is coming from other things, so we truly don't even have any harms. Moving on to my second voting issue is shadow of doubt. Shadow of doubt. And this is something I believe, and we wanted you to cross you, that we've shown you a doubt that the plan truly will not work. It's not solving the problem, and there are too many disadvantages. So we hope we have shown you a shadow of a doubt. Moving on to my third voting issue is DA still stand. DAs still stand. She basically kind of addressed it by saying that we didn't have evidence and things like that, but the DAs still stand because no matter what they do, these small farmers are still going to be hurt, and these big companies are going to be the one getting all this land. So the DAs still stand. Moving on to my fourth voting issue is failed burden. Failed burden. The AF team had the burden to show you that their case was basically bulletproof, that there was nothing wrong with the case, and we believe they have not shown that. My fifth voting issue is don't solve. Don't solve. As we've shown you, because overgrazing comes from other things, and because solve, we truly believe a negative value